Hi everyone, I'm Devin. I garden here in Zone 7A, Maryland. Today I'm going to share with you 12 varieties of smaller trees and shrubs that we have chosen to put into our very small 0.2 acre backyard / garden. The first tree that I'm going to talk about is the autumn Brilliance Serviceberry. We have two of these trees, one in our front yard and one in our backyard. They are a gorgeous native tree that attracts lots of pollinators and wildlife. They get these beautiful pink buds in the spring that open up to these very light and airy white flowers. The flowers don't last super long, maybe 2 to 3 weeks, but soon after in June they get these very yummy June berries or serviceberries, and the birds just love them. You can use them to make pies, to make jellies, jams, whatever you want, as long as you can get to them before the birds do. It's a very wonderful tree for just attracting wildlife, a productive tree that you can eat off of, just a really beautiful tree. The trees have this almost like silvery blue foliage in the summertime, and the branching is very open and light and airy. We had a maple in our front yard that we had to cut down in the fall. Somebody had topped the tree, so it just turned into a giant bush, and it was completely blocking the front of our house. I just didn't want another tree that would get so big and completely block our front. I like our front porch, and I don't want it to just be completely hidden by a tree. So the open kind of airy nature of the serviceberry really appealed to me for that reason. The tree does not get super tall. It gets maybe about 20 to 25 feet tall and 15 to 20 feet wide. So it's taller than it is wider, which is also great for a front yard tree. They do great in full sun to part sun, and they're good for zones 4 to 9. An all-around great tree. In the fall, they have this most brilliant orange color, which I was really gonna miss with the maple being gone. So I wanted a tree that would really provide that vibrant orange color. The same for the backyard. We really didn't have anything offering that color, so I was just really on the search for something with that beautiful orange, and the serviceberry, the autumn Brilliance Serviceberry, definitely fits that bill. So you can't go wrong with this tree. It's just a really nice native tree that is so great, like I said, for wildlife and pollinators, and just offers so much beauty all year round. So definitely check out an autumn Brilliance Serviceberry. The next tree that I'm going to talk about is the Jane Magnolia. We have a Jane Magnolia on the front of our house to the corner of our porch. This tree is part of the Little Girl series. It stays on the smaller side. It gets around 15 feet tall, 12 feet wide, and it can be used as a large shrub, or it can be limbed up into a multi-trunk tree, which is what I'm trying to do with ours. I do need to prune on ours a little bit more. It's getting a little too bushy for my liking, but I might do that in the fall, just to remove some of the lower branches to expose some of that beautiful, it's a very smooth, almost silvery bark. It has a really, really nice structure that looks good all seasons, especially in the winter time. The bark is almost like this silvery color with these beautiful flower buds all over it, ready for the spring show, and it just really kind of sets that apart from a lot of the other trees. This tree flowers for about 2 to 4 weeks in the springtime, and it flowers a little bit later than some of the other magnolias, so it helps to protect it from any later frosts. The flowers that it gets in the spring are a beautiful purpley pink color, I would say. They almost look saucer-like when they're fully open, and when they're not fully open, they kind of have a tulip shape to them. Occasionally you will get some flowers in the summertime. I haven't gotten a whole lot, maybe a few here and there, so that's not going to give you, a great show, but it's kind of fun to see them pop open every once in a while. These trees do great in zones 4 to 8, and they'll do good in full sun to part sun. So if you want a tree that offers some really beautiful spring interest and some really neat winter interest, I would suggest checking out the Jane Magnolia. The next tree on my list is the Merlot Redbud. We have a Merlot Redbud in the front of our house on the corner by our garage. You've probably seen me show it a few times if you have followed any of my other videos. This is a beautiful smaller redbud that is similar to the forest pansy redbud, but it's even a little bit smaller than the forest pansy redbud, which was really appealing to me because we don't have a lot of space on that corner of our garage. But it was bred to withstand some higher temperatures, so that is really a plus in case we get some really hot summers. And it's also drought resistant, which is also really great. In the spring, these beautiful kind of purpley pink flowers emerge, which you probably are familiar with other redbuds. I would say it's a pretty similar show to other redbuds. And then following the flowers are these gorgeous shiny, deep purple leaves, and they have kind of a slate green underside to them, which during the summertime the leaves do fade to more of like a greenish purple color, more on the green side with a little bit of purple undertones, but it's still a very beautiful tree all season long. Just these gorgeous big heart-shaped leaves and this beautiful kind of silvery bark that they have is just very appealing for all seasons. And these trees grow to about 15 feet high, tall, and around 12 feet wide. And they do great in part sun to full sun and zones 6 to 9. So again, if you want a tree that offers some really strong kind of spring and summer interest, I would recommend checking out the Merlot Redbud. The next plant that I'm going to talk about is the Purple Pillar Rose of Sharon by Proven Winners. You can see them behind me. We have a whole hedge of them along this side of our fence. They do great in full sun, and it's a beautiful columnar, taller than it is wider Rose of Sharon. They get probably around 15 feet tall if you let them get that tall, and I think about 4 to 5 feet wide. They prefer full sun, and they are great in zones 5 through 9. They make a beautiful flowering privacy screen or a really nice flowering accent plant if you're looking for an area that's a little bit smaller, that you can't have a regular full-size Rose of Sharon. This would be a great choice. Mine are on their, I think, second full year, and they've already grown so much. They are probably 8 or 9 feet tall and probably 3 feet wide at this point. So they are a pretty fast grower. If you're looking for something to kind of offer some privacy fairly quick, I think that they would be a great choice. They do bloom a little bit later in the season. Mine started blooming probably towards the end of July. So they are going to be a late bloomer, but if you plant some things in front of them, they will offer just a beautiful backdrop to a perennial border that will, the other plants can offer some color while you're waiting on the Rose of Sharon to bloom. And when they do bloom, they have the most gorgeous flowers. You can see them a little bit behind me, but the flowers are this beautiful purple color with almost like a reddish center in the middle, and they are just covered by bees and butterflies. I'll see hummingbirds flying around, especially in the mornings. So they just attract so much wildlife and so many pollinators. It's just a really beautiful choice. Next up on my list is the Twomblys Red Sentinel Japanese Maple. We recently added this tree this past spring. I was looking for something in the corner of our sunny border right behind me that would stay a little bit more on the narrow side and get tall but not too tall, and offer some really pretty red foliage. I really wanted some red foliage against the green giants that are lining the back of our property. And after some researching, I found this Twomblys Red Sentinel Japanese maple that I knew would just be the perfect fit for that corner. This tree stays on the narrow side. It gets maybe 4 to 5 feet wide and around 10 to maybe 15 feet tall over time. So it is just the perfect size for that corner back there. In the spring, I didn't have it in the spring, but from reading about it, it emerges with this beautiful, like vivid, bright red, kind of crimson color. And then in the summer, it fades to a little bit more of the greenish red color, similar to the Merlot Redbud out in my front corner. And in the winter, or in the fall, I guess I should say, it turns another beautiful, kind of vivid crimson color. So I'm excited to see what it does in the fall. And in the winter time, the branches have almost a reddish tint to them. So even without the leaves on the tree, it still offers some beautiful winter interest. This tree prefers well-draining soil, and it can do good in sun to part sun. I would say if you're in a warmer zone, it probably would prefer more on the part sun side of things rather than the full sun. And it does well in zones 5 through 8. So it does well in a variety of zones. It's a beautiful all year long, just 4-season interest tree. I am really excited to see this tree grow and just watch what it does. So definitely check out the Twomblys Red Sentinel Japanese Maple. The next tree on my list is the Tonto Crape Myrtle, which is right behind me. This is a beautiful crepe myrtle that stays on the smaller side. It tops out around 10 feet tall and 6 to 8 feet wide. This tree has gorgeous, bright fuchsia, almost fuchsia red watermelon colored flowers that bloom. Usually for me, it's mid to late July, around the same time as the Rose of Sharon behind me. So it offers this gorgeous kind of later season pop of color. And in the fall, the leaves turn this very vibrant, kind of reddish orange color. So they offer some really beautiful fall color. And of course, in the winter time, their branching structure is gorgeous. It's very structural. The bark is smooth and it's a peeling bark. It peels, it actually peels. So it just offers this really, really nice interest for all 4 seasons. Crepe myrtles do prefer full sun, and the Tonto crepe myrtle does best in zones 7 to 10. It's a beautiful tree, and I highly recommend looking into it if you are in the market for a smaller crepe myrtle. Next on my list is the sweet talker viburnum. This is a proven winner's plant. We just put them in their spot this year. They are lining one portion of our fence next to some green giants we have across from our holly bed. And in that area, I needed something that would stay more on the narrow side and that would also have some height to it. I want to use it as kind of a privacy screen right there. And this shrub just fits the bill. It's around 3 to 5 feet wide, and it gets to be about 10 feet tall if you let it. It can be trimmed into whatever, size or shape that you want. It has beautiful, tiny pink, almost tubular shaped flowers in the springtime, and it blooms very early, almost late winter, very early spring. So they offer some really nice early season color. The leaves during the summertime are just a really nice, like leathery, thick leaf that is very, very beautiful, and they're very lush. In the fall, they turn a reddish purple color, so they offer some really beautiful fall interest as well. And the flowers also in the spring put off this spicy kind of honey scent. So not only do you get the beautiful pink color, but you also get that really, really nice scent, which I'm really excited to experience in the spring. These are considered semi-evergreen, so in the colder zones, they may lose some of their leaves. They are only rated for zones 7 through 8, so it is a little bit of a narrow zone that can use them. So I'm, a little bit on the colder side, so I'm hoping that they do okay. But they do also do well in anywhere from shade to part sun to sun. I think that if they're in sun, they will probably flower a little bit better for you, but you can use them in shade as well if you really want to. So if you're looking for a privacy hedge and you need a narrow, kind of taller variety shrub, definitely check out the Sweet Talker Viburnum. The next plant that I'm going to talk about is the Schip Laurel shrub. This is a beautiful, dense evergreen shrub that has some really nice, glossy, dark green leaves. They do good in sun or shade, and they make a really nice smaller hedge. They will get big if you let them. They can get up to 18 feet tall and like about 7 feet wide. So if you don't want them getting that big, definitely keep them trimmed, and they are fairly easy to control. We usually trim ours about twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. They are probably due for a trim very soon. So they are easy to keep on the smaller side if you're looking for a kind of smaller evergreen hedge. They are definitely worth checking out. They do best in zones 5 through 10, so they are a versatile shrub to use in many different locations. They will get some white flowers in the spring. Ours don't always flower prolifically because we do keep them trimmed. And they do get some like reddish brown berries in the winter to offer some more kind of multi-season interest. So if you need something on the little slightly smaller side for a hedge or a large privacy screen, and you have the room to just kind of let them go, definitely look at the Schip Laurels. Next is another shrub, and it is the Dwarf Globe Blue Spruce. We have one of these out by my Merlot Redbud. It's a beautiful, vibrant blue evergreen that offers so much beauty to any landscape. It goes well with perennials and shrubs. I have it paired with my Oh So Easy red roses, and I have an orange rudbeckia and a white incredible next to it, kind of surrounding it, and it just really offsets those plants so nicely. That blue color just goes so nicely with so many things. I really want to add more blue around my gardens. This is just a beautiful shrub that grows about 5 feet tall in time and around 4 to 5 feet wide. It can get fairly large. You can kind of keep it trimmed, and it is very slow growing. You prefer full sun. Mine probably gets part sun from the Merlot over it, and it still does really well. And they do well in zones 3 through 8. So it's just a beautiful, very vibrant blue color to add to any garden, and it would make any garden look more beautiful. So definitely check out the Dwarf Globe Blue Spruce. Next up on my list is the Dragon Lady Holly. We have 3 Dragon Lady Hollies by our deck that provide some really nice screening for our deck and for our hot tub. These are evergreen. They have beautiful dark green, glossy, spiny leaves, and produce some really nice red berries for the winter time. I love using the red berries in some of my winter arrangements, and of course the birds love the berries come late winter, early spring. They're kind of all over plucking off the berries. They do get some really tiny white flowers in the springtime that the bees love. They are always swarming the trees in the early spring and just love them. These are a more narrow form of holly. They grow taller than wider. They can get 15 feet tall and around 5 feet wide. So they definitely grow taller than wider. So if you're looking for a spot where you just don't have much room width-wise, but you need something a little taller, they are a perfect solution for that. And their branching is a little more open and kind of free-forming than some hollies. It's not quite as dense as, I have another holly I'm going to talk about. It's not quite as dense as that holly, So they're just kind of this really neat architectural type trunk and branching habit that they have to them. Do you prefer part sun to sun? They are drought tolerant and they do well in zones 6 to 8. So take a look at a Dragon Lady Holly if you want something evergreen for a screen or a specimen that is taller than it is wider. It's a great choice. Next, I'm going to talk about the other holly that we have on the side of our house. We have a Red Beauty holly, and this one stays a little bit shorter than the Dragon Lady holly. It gets around 8 feet tall and about 4 to 5 feet wide. It has the same beautiful dark green spiny leaves on it and gets really pretty red berries in the wintertime. This holly is a little more dense than the Dragon Lady holly, and it stays more in that conical kind of pyramid shape a little bit better, I think, than the Dragon Lady holly. The branching is not quite as kind of free-flowing as the Dragon Lady, so it definitely has more of that conical kind of shape if you're looking for that. I've also read that it's a little bit more of a prolific berry producer than the Dragon Lady holly. I'll see this winter time. This is its first full season in the ground, so I haven't really seen it produce berries yet. So I'll be able to judge that come the winter. This does prefer anywhere from partial sun to full sun, and it does well in zones 6 through 10. So another great holly to check out for a smaller space. And finally, I'm going to talk about the Dee Runk Boxwood. We have 3 Dee Runk Boxwood on one of the sides of our fence, back actually behind me to the side of my sunny perennial border. These are a beautiful choice for a boxwood if you need something tall and narrow. They can get up to 10 feet tall, and they stay only 2 to 3 feet wide. So they are a really nice option for a tight space where you just want a little bit of screening or a little bit of privacy. They are a beautiful boxwood. They stay more in that conical shape. You can prune them to be a tight conical shape or just kind of let them go, and they will still maintain that kind of conical shape. It'll just be a little bit looser of a form than if you were to prune on them. They do prefer anywhere from part sun to full sun, and they do well in zones 6 through 8. So if you need something a little bit taller and more on the narrow side for a screen or just a specimen, they make a beautiful choice. And that's it. Those were the 12 trees and shrubs, smaller trees and shrubs, that I chose to share with you today. I hope that that was informative and helpful, maybe a little inspirational. Maybe you can get out and plant 1 or 2 in your own gardens this fall. It's the perfect time for planting right now. I hope that you guys all have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.